Good morning, everybody. Hello, and welcome to today's webinar. Monday morning, 11 o'clock, the 22nd of June. Today, we're talking about how to solve workplace conflict. My name's Amanda Chadwick, and I'm a senior speaker at Peninsula Business Services Limited, a family-run firm based in Manchester. I'm based in North Wales, and we have offices in Belfast, Dublin, Jersey, Glasgow and Sydney as well. Today's webinar is all about how to solve workplace conflict. We're going to get that, aren't we? Lots of different personalities in work, lots of different things that go on. We can't get on with everybody. And if after this webinar you are a Peninsula client and you do have issues, remember, we want to help you every step of the way before you step into a situation and make a mistake. I want to help you before you make that decision, before you make a redundancy, before you lay somebody off, before you speak to somebody, so that we can make sure that the letter writing is spot on and that how you act within a meeting, that you follow your procedures and your policies. If you're not a Peninsula client and you would like some information after this webinar, my name is Amanda Chadwick. I've been a speaker for over 20 years. My specialist subjects are employment law and health and safety and employee well-being, and my email is amanda@peninsula-uk.com. So you may have seen our managing director, Peter Doan. He's the owner of the company, set up with his brother on the back of a tribunal, and experienced a tribunal where they had to settle and then ended up with a massive solicitors bill as well. And they thought that they would teach people all about employment law, and decided that they would support the employer, managers and HR, and that's how our business started up. Peter Doan has contributed to the Sunday Times Business Doctor for over 15 years now, helping businesses take time out to grow their business. So link to this recording will be on YouTube later on or tomorrow morning, and that's the link in front of you that you need to write down. I'll give you a couple of seconds on that. That's the link where all my previously broadcast webinars are actually on YouTube. So grievances kind of cover a wide range of issues and can often be combined with other events such as sickness, resignation, whistleblowing, disciplinary. People quite often go and say, oh, I've got a complaint about somebody, I'm going to put a grievance in during a disciplinary, and they can actually run side by side. And especially what you've got to look at there is if the person that's holding the disciplinary isn't the person that actually they've got a grievance against. You find this also in a small office environment where the person that's managing sickness or a disciplinary, somebody's got to work side by side, and they're offended that that person's doing that. Sickness issues, when you're talking to them about sickness, they suddenly turn it around and say it's work that's causing the sickness. Resignation, and there's always every single one of those. I deal with mediation. I do mediation for the Welsh Assembly Government, and I would say to you that a lot of the problems that end up in a grievance or end up with a complaint could be solved with an informal chat at the very beginning. So that when I think about those things, there's lots of policies and procedures and documents there that I would say would prevent and defend you if somebody did put a grievance in and took somebody to a tribunal. So return to work interviews, for example, managing the working time regulations, health and safety, managing people's holidays and breaks. And then when they say that it's work that's causing their sickness, you can say, well, actually, it wasn't because we did all this. A resignation, I did an exit interview. They never mentioned they had an issue at the resignation. They said they were going for another job. And I'm not the person that they've got a grievance against. And they could have told me. Whistleblowing, and then disciplinary as well. So these are all areas where we'll see, quite a few people bring grievances out. Workplace conflicts, though, this is something a little bit different. This is where people have a clash of personalities. They're just not getting on. And, if you're working with lots of people or even just in a small environment, you aren't going to get on with everybody. So it could be quite simple. It could be easily dealt with where there is a clash of personalities and moving the job role, the job, where they are on maybe a production line or in an office so that they don't get the clash of personalities. It might be unfair treatment, and it might be because a manager doesn't realise they're treating somebody more favourably than another person. And it's only when somebody points something out that we can resolve any issues. And unresolved issues where there's been an issue and it's been bubbling up, and the person that probably caused the problem in the first place doesn't actually realise that what they've done has caused an unresolved issue. Unclear job roles, and that can easily be sorted again with job descriptions, a clear communication, and again that brings us to poor communication, somebody not knowing what's expected of them, what they're supposed to do, or somebody's not communicated it properly and it's made them frustrated. So workplace conflicts are generally caused by frustration and might be not getting on with somebody or one of those issues. That's just some of them. So if you are going to handle a grievance, we would recommend, first of all, resolving a grievance informally. I think a lot of work can be done and a lot of hassle prevented if we speak to our staff. So if I've got a complaint against another employee, it's an idea to resolve the grievances informally by an informal chat and ask the employee what they want the outcome to be right at the very beginning. And, you know, sometimes just a quiet word is all that is needed. Somebody might not know that their behavior is causing somebody to be, you know, offended, the way they touch them, you know, the way they speak to them, the way they leave them out. It might be helpful to consider mediation at any stage of a dispute. This is when a third party comes in, but it's not to take away, you know, what a manager should be doing. And it's all important to train managers to handle grievances effectively. I know I hope when I'm talking to you now that you've all got grievance procedures in place anyway. So formal grievances, if somebody is raising a formal grievance, then you need to let they need to write to you to tell you, as per your grievance procedures, what the nature is of the grievance and let you know that they have got an issue. The step 2 stage is then you're going to respond and hold a meeting with the employee to discuss their grievance that they've got and what the grievance is. And then decide going on forward what the appropriate course of action is as per your grievance procedures. Step 4 is the appeal. So they might appeal against a decision. That's if it's applicable. And it's heard by a non-involved manager. And this is where people fall down. They fall down on little steps of the way. First of all, not taking a complaint seriously, not deciding on the appropriate course of action, leaving it festering, or, excuse me, if there is an appeal, they don't have somebody who's not been involved in the grievance hold the meeting. And then step 5 is usually the appeal decision outcome in writing. So when somebody's saying I've got a grievance, the first thing and first course of action that you should be doing is you should be investigating. You should be finding out the facts. And even if you don't like that particular employee, you think they are a troublemaker, or what your opinion is of them, you need to investigate that thoroughly and give them a fair hearing. And then what you're going to do is invite the employee to a meeting. You're going to maybe further investigation is required after a conversation at the meeting. You might have to adjourn there. You're going to interview witnesses, and then you're going to respond in writing to the employee. You are going to allow the employee the opportunity to appeal. So we've now got harassment or fused with harassment or grievance. In the Equality Act 2010, harassment is defined as the following. So I almost know this off by heart. Unwanted conduct related to a relevant protected characteristic which has the purpose or effect of violating an individual's dignity or creating the intimidating, hostile, degrading, humiliating or offensive environment for that individual. A grievance is different. It's an actual or supposed circumstance regarded as just cause for complaint. And employers have to remember managers vicarious liability for their staff when discrimination or harassment occurs, and a tribunal can be called against the individual and the employer. Grievance facts, no requirement for pursuing a tribunal claim, and they have importance here on you, the employer, to have a handbook with a grievance procedure in there, investigation, disciplinary, appeal procedures, but a grievance procedure, because it shows that you are a fair employer, and you need to show that on day one. And it's saying to an employee, you've got to give me the chance to sort something out before you leave and go to tribunal. But if they didn't give you the chance to sort